Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Ufros aleinu sukat, sukat, shlomecha. Ufros aleinu sukat, sukat, shlomecha. Yalai, 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 la 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 la, yalai, 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 la 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 la. Ufros aleinu sukat, sukat, shlomecha. So let's turn to page 120 as we bring in Shabbat together. I'd like to invite Susan Solars to come forward. Not only is Susan strong voice in social justice, it's also the yard site of your beloved grandfather, Zichrono Livracha. Please stand. First light first, just light first. That's okay. We'll help you. And then the other one, and then blow that one out, or put the, there you go. And then we'll make 3 circles together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you. Can I ask the Hucklebees to come on this side? No? Maybe. We need you over here. Thank you. Let's turn to page 138. Thank you. Then I could look at you over here. 138. Lecha dodi likrat kala, panei Shabbat nekavela. 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 Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Ishmianu el hamichad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'lichila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, panei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, panei Shabbat nekavela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki hi mekor habracha, merosh mekedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshava techila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, panei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, B'nai Shabbat nikavela. Verse 5. Hitoreri, hitoreri, kiva orech, umi uri, 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 shir daberi, givot Adonai alayich nigla. Lecha dodi, lecha dodi nikad kala, B'nai Shabbat nikavela. Lecha dodi nikad kala, B'nai Shabbat nikavela. So we stand to welcome the Sabbath bride. We face the back. We imagine her coming in strong and triumphant, reminding us of our values. Take our Torah and bringing it to life. Bo'wi v'shalom ateret ba'ala, gam b'simcha u'v'tzola, toch emunei am segula, bo'wi chala, bo'wi chala. Lecha dodi, lecha dodi nikad kala, B'nai Shabbat nikavela. Lecha dodi nikad kala, B'nai Shabbat nikavela. Please be seated. So this week, we focus our attention to the Jewish holiday of Sukkot, right? We have just begun the new year. We had Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. This is a little review, right? Rosh Hashanah was about hope and optimism and the birthday of the world. And Yom Kippur took us all inside in terms of introspection, assessing who we are in our deepest convictions. And for Sukkot, we go outside, we take some tools, and we build. We build a temporary dwelling called our sukkah. We shake the 4 species. And we give thanks for all our blessings. It's a sweet holiday. And frankly, the biblical text has a kind of duality. On one level, we know that it's about the harvest booth. And we imagine, as we were taught when we were little, and potentially if we went to religious school, that's where our ancestors stayed when they were harvesting the fields, and they would go outside and maybe take a little rest in the sukkah. But it's more than a nice hut with handcrafted decorations. The text in Leviticus chapter 23 tells us that we shall live in the booths for 7 days. All citizens of Israel live in booths. Why? It says that in order that future generations may know that I made Israelite people live in booths when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. So the Torah text is, I think, quite accurate. It reminds us that our journey as a Jewish people from slavery to freedom was a journey of being refugees. In our lifetime, it's hard not to think about refugees and finding shelter. And as we do, we say that prayer that we just sang, Ufros aleinu sukat shalomecha, spread over us a shelter of your peace. We don't simply want to act hospitably, which of course is a good thing in of itself. We want to invite in refugees who have come from a host of countries and have found some temporary or permanent housing in the United States. And for them to tell us their stories and tell us of their journey and tell us of their challenge. And for us to connect the experience of Sukkot, building temporary dwellings, and reminding us of the fragility of life, the fragility of many of our journeys, and allow us to open our hearts as a Jewish community and do even more to help those who are in need of shelter. Our speaker this evening will talk with us about the Gerim, those who are seeking shelter. I also have to say that our Torah text reminds us that we can't build the sukkah in a permanent fashion. Each year I have a sukkah in my backyard and I love its decorations and its tranquility, but it's not meant to last. That's actually the reminder that we are all, in a sense, sojourners in a temporary space. We are all, in a sense, making journeys in a fragile world, and to open ourselves to those who are very vulnerable on these issues. And so we have not just a ritual to observe Sukkot. This is more than a nice holiday. It's a righteous cause to fight for people who are trying to come to the United States and seek safety. And would we just remember, in the spring of 1939, the German ocean liner, the St. Louis, sailed with 937 passengers aboard from Hamburg to Cuba and then the United States. And that was right on the eve of World War II, and the gates of America were locked shut and very few were allowed in. That ship, the St. Louis, was sent back, and a good number of those 937 passengers perished during the Shoah. That's what it means when the gates are closed, and we can't allow those gates to close, not for us or not for any of God's children. Yes, the United States has to have a refugee policy. It has to have immigration standards. But let's have that as an open debate of our core American values, because our Jewish values remind us that all of us have been refugees. We know that when Abraham identifies himself to the residents in the land of Israel, he says, Ger Anochi, I'm an outsider. I'm a migrant. I'm not one of you. The word ger can mean refugee. It can mean a migrant. It can mean a stranger. It can be a sojourner. It is something that as Jewish people we know well. And that's why we must tell the story, to remember what this holiday is all about. It's a holiday of joy and gratitude, impermanence, and it's a reminder of vulnerability. Those things might seem at odds, but the holiday has all of those dimensions. Our sukkah is the most beautiful way for us to express it. It doesn't have to be a fancy sukkah. It has to be an authentic one. A bit of a temporary dwelling, which is why I'm hoping and I look forward to having our kiddush and our oneg in ours. As we hear the story tonight of a particular refugee family from Ukraine, let's remember our own family journey. Let's remember the stories of our people. Let's be committed to be an advocate for justice for the most vulnerable. Sukkot is the best for telling this. So tonight we're reminded who we are and the call.
Melech memit umchaye umatzmiach Yeshua v'ne'eman ata l'chayom metim baruch ata Adonai mechaye hametim.
Page 170.
Ata kadosh b'shimcha kadosh ukdoshim b'chol yom yalu chasela baruch ata Adonai ha'el hakadosh.
Please find words that speak to you. And then we'll join back together for Shalom Rav.
Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu ba'amecha Yisrael u'tefilatam bi'ahava tekabel u'tahil ratzon tamid avodat Yisrael Yisrael Amecha Baruch atah Adonai she'otecha levadecha vayira navod navod navod.
And as we move toward page 176 and 177, we gather in the things that we're very grateful for in our life. Page 178. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tov beinecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael bechol leil ubechol sha'ah bishlomecha. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Dear friends, I'm going to ask you to turn to page 371 as we offer prayers for anyone who's in need of healing. We pray for Penny Clark, Janice Schulman, Bendon John and Juliana Blue, Sandy Lewin, John Noxon, Faith Gobody, Laura Sender Lawrence, Meredith Rosenberg, Carol Wismiller, Jerry Steinke, Benjamin Hess, Sandra Albert, Joe and Becky Brockman, Shakira Parker. So my friends, we turn to page 371 and we offer together a prayer for the people whose names we've said and for those who are struggling in Ukraine to get out and struggling who are here to adjust. Our prayers are with you. Page 371. Misha Beirach Avotenu Mekor habracha laimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us
Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
So, Bruce, my friend, I'm going to invite you to come up and help us welcome our speaker this evening. It's a pleasure to see you.
Shabbat Shalom. My name is Bruce Pat, and I'm very honored to be here this evening to welcome our speaker tonight, Lisa Brodke, who is a member of the Social Justice, Social Action Committee, Women of B'nai Israel, powerful group, and with whom I've been working in support of our recent family who has arrived from Ukraine to live in Sacramento, as well as other refugee families. I would just like to, with your indulgence, to read something that's on page 173 that I think really speaks to us and to the imperative of what we face now in our world. Disturb us, Adonai, ruffle us from our complacency. Make us dissatisfied with the peace of arrogance. With the peace of ignorance. The quietude which arises from a shunning of the horror, the defeat, the bitterness, and the poverty, physical and spiritual, of humans. Shock us, Adonai, deny to us the false Shabbat, which gives us the delusion of satisfaction amid a world of war and hatred. Wake us, O God, and shake us from the sweet and sad poignancies rendered by half-forgotten melodies and rubric prayers of yesteryears. Make us know that the border of the sanctuary is not the border of living, and the walls of your temples are not shelters from the winds of truth, justice, and reality. Disturb us, O God, and vex us. Let not your Shabbat be a day of torpor and slumber. Let it be a time to be stirred and spurred into action. And with that, and on behalf of Susan Solars, who chairs our Social Justice Committee, I'd like to invite Lisa Brodke to come up and share a bit about how a group of Sacramento people have been working with the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, HIAS, to sponsor a family's journey and settlement in our community. Lisa.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Bruce, and thank you, Rabbi. Thank you all so much for the invitation to join you tonight and to share a brief description of the Sacramento Refugee Resettlement Circle. My co-coordinator and partner in Good Trouble, Dorothy Landsberg, is so sorry she can't be here tonight, so I'll do my best to challenge her energy, which, if you know Dorothy, puts the Energizer Bunny to shame. We were asked to give you a little information about our own backgrounds and what led us to doing this work. For Dorothy, this, developing and continuing with the Refugee Resettlement Circle, this was a natural extension of her long and very meaningful career as a civil rights attorney and law professor. For me, I had recently retired from UC Davis, where I directed a program to assist people with harassment and discrimination concerns. This project also brings me back full circle to my earlier career right out of graduate school as an ESL teacher, English as a Second Language teacher, in a program for refugees from Vietnam and Laos. I think some of you may remember the boat people who arrived in the US in the early 80s. Those were my students. Both Dorothy and I are members of the Congregation B'nai Israel Racial Justice Committee, but mostly we're two people who were, as you were and are, horrified by the images we were seeing of the Russian invasion of Ukraine and the displacement of so very many Ukrainians, including so many young children. Many of us in the Sacramento Jewish community have been engaged for years in meaningful work to assist refugees from Latin America, Iraq, and Afghanistan who've sought out safety and a better life in our city. I believe some of you have done late-night airport pickups of Afghan families being supported by Opening Doors, and some of you may have helped fill out the humanitarian parole applications for Latin American asylum seekers. This effort, the Sacramento Refugee Resettlement Circle, builds on that foundation. Our origin story began at a HIAS presentation in May of this year, attended by members from Congregation Beth Shalom and Congregation B'nai Israel. For those who aren't familiar with the organization, HIAS, originally the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, was formed in 1881 to assist Jews fleeing pogroms in Russia and Eastern Europe. HIAS now provides refugee resettlement for refugees of all nationalities, religions, and ethnic groups. As part of a national effort that seeks private, community-based sponsors for Ukrainian refugees, HIAS is working to support Jewish community groups in the United States to form welcome circles. After that initial presentation in May, Susan was there, maybe a few others of you. Bruce, were you there at that? Yeah. A few of us began to reach out to members from other synagogues to gauge interest. We started holding weekly Zoom meetings to discuss if we wanted to get involved and how. So that was in May. In June, congregants from 5 of the Sacramento region synagogues formally formed the Sacramento Refugee Resettlement Circle to support welcoming a Ukrainian refugee family to our community. We are motivated by the commandment rooted in Jewish law to welcome the stranger, the ger. Some of us are descended from family members whom HIAS helped settle in the United States. Several have Ukrainian ancestry, and we are all descendants of immigrants. We were certified by HIAS on July 13th as an official welcome circle. To qualify, we needed to demonstrate the capacity and resources to provide housing and wraparound services, including basic necessities, enrollment and support for education and language services, and access to healthcare, benefits, and employment for a minimum of 6 months. We knew the Sacramento Jewish community would be generous. We began the process by renting a modest house in Tahoe Park and filling it with good quality, gently used furniture, much of which came from, I believe, a Beth Shalom congregant, whose name I don't, Lucy? Uh-huh. Her generosity can be seen in the Spielman's home. People donated kitchen items, linens, and while we bought a few things new, most really were donated by Circle members and the very generous Jewish community in this region. On July 21st, we were matched with the Spielman family, living in Warsaw since April. And I'm going to take a minute just to introduce Galina Spielman and Arina Spielman and Vitalina Spielman. It was a very happy coincidence for us to learn that the family identified as Jewish. This was not a given, as most of the Ukrainian refugees coming to the US under the United for Ukraine program are not Jewish. We learned they primarily spoke Russian, Ukrainian, some Hebrew, and very little English. We filed the necessary immigration forms for fiscal sponsorship, found an excellent interpreter, and began to communicate with the Spielmans by email and on Zoom. In mid-September, after several very long months of government red tape, we received notifications from the Immigration Service that travel authorizations had been issued for the Spielmans. Using some of the funds donated by our amazing community, we bought tickets and scurried around like crazy to put finishing touches on the house. Suddenly, there was nothing theoretical about this undertaking. There were real people coming on a real airplane to really live in Sacramento. And on September 22nd, and I'm stressing these dates just because this happened so fast, on September 22nd, which was just 4 months after we formed our circle, a few core circle members went to the Sacramento airport to welcome Galina and her daughters Vitalina, who's 12, and Arina, who's 7. They had spent 24 hours in an exhausting series of flights, and we were anticipating meeting a very tired mom and 2 sleepy, cranky children. It was absolutely thrilling for us, along with our fabulous interpreter, to see them step off that escalator coming down into baggage claim just after midnight, wide awake and really excited. There were lots of hugs and smiles and nonstop Russian chatter, especially from Arina. Is Arina there? She likes to chatter. There she is. Galina, I want to invite you, and Esther, maybe you can help, if you would like to say a few words about your first few weeks in Sacramento, and you can come up here, or you can speak from there. And thank you, Esther, for translating. This was very unrehearsed. I sprang this on Galina about, I don't know, an hour ago. Thank you.
Шаббат шалом. Мне очень приятно и трогательно быть сегодня здесь. Наши первые недели, мы всего 3 недели в Сакраменто, нас окружили теплом и заботой.
Okay, she is in a very good heart, understanding feeling, because the first few weeks, all this Jewish community gives them their heart, their understanding, try help a lot, and she just shocked because a lot of nice feeling for her and her kids.
В первой неделе нам приносили ужины. Дороти с Лисой кружили вокруг образовательной сферы, так как детям необходимо обучение, и мне в том числе.
Okay, first few weeks, people bring them something to eat and a lot of love, and give them something like some lessons, because that's very important for her and for his kids, of course.
Поиск учебных заведений подходит, не подходит. Мы до сих пор сталкиваемся с сложностями в школьной сфере, так как дети практически не разговаривают на английском.
Very difficult to find right school for them, because kids do not know English at all. That's the reason why that's very, very difficult. That need time and a lot of patience.
И было очень приятно, что совпали наш приезд в новую страну с Рош ха-Шана, далее Йом-Кипур и в Суккот был мой день рождения, поэтому все новое.
How old are you? 18. So that was very nice, because there came in the nice holidays, and that that just happened, and that's very nice.
Поэтому мы начинаем новую страницу нашей жизни в новой стране с Нового года. И всё
New page in their life book, new country, and they believe everything will be wonderful.
И я очень благодарна всей поддержке, всей еврейской комьюнити, всей общине за то, что нас поддерживают, приняли и так тепло.
She's very appreciated for Jewish community who helps them understand and be part of the community, and that's very important. That's it? That's it.
Thank you, Esther. Yes, finding schools has been interesting, but very quickly we got the girls enrolled in public school. Galina has started English classes. And as Galina said, it was a great time of year because they went to Rosh Hashanah services and Yom Kippur services at one congregation, a Sukkot celebration at another congregation. They're here tonight, so making the rounds of the Jewish community. So in closing, it can be a challenge to live our Jewish tradition and uphold the values of helping the stranger and repairing the world in a concrete, not theoretical way. This is concrete. Thanks to the generosity of the greater Sacramento Jewish community, we feel really blessed to be able to fully support the Spielman family, paving the way for them to feel safe and at home here in Sacramento. We feel blessed to help them become self-sufficient community members. And the timing, as Galina said, turned out to be especially sweet, or mituka, as it's so meaningful to begin our new year in this very special way. So thank you again for this opportunity to celebrate Social Action Shabbat with you, and Shabbat Shalom.
Lisa. Before Lisa leaves, Susan. I'd like to ask Susan come up to make a presentation. Thank you.
So on Shabbat Shalom, Lisa.
Shabbat Shalom,
We've
Susan.
known each other for a long time, and it's such a pleasure, actually, to present this to you and maybe to present to the family.
Absolutely.
This plant, which can be part of your new home, and we are
Lovely.
so. I've been so inspired by the circle, as you said, as a. There's so much that certainly that I do that's, is theoretical
Yeah,
and
we
working
all
on
do.
policies and this and that. And this is such a tangible effort. And it's such a pleasure to meet you and your family and that you've arrived safely. And I guess I just want, if I may ask Lisa, for you to elaborate on just one or two more things, which is we want to know how we can continue to help and support this family and the larger efforts. We want to know both in terms of actions. I know that many of us have donated online through the B'nai Israel portal. And if you could explain
Sure.
a little bit more,
Sure.
that would be really helpful.
Very briefly, I promise.
Yeah. we
Okay,
want-
thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Lisa.
Susan, and thank you, and I will be happy to give this to the Spielmans. I just have to say, I'm kind of cracking up inside because I did spot the plant under the chairs, and I thought, is there a bar mitzvah tomorrow? And are they going to throw a plant? I don't know. We do candy. I don't know. But this is lovely. Thank you. Yes, so many of you I know have contributed financially. You may have contributed furniture or dish towels or other things. We are quite well set up, but as I mentioned, the highest model is to make a minimum of 6-month commitment. So we are providing all daily living expenses, the rent, the internet, bus fare, all of those things. And so there's an ongoing need for financial support. The donation system I just want to be clear about this, was set up through B'nai Israel, not because B'nai Israel has any particular ownership over this program, but B'nai Israel has had for quite some time a very robust immigrant and refugee assistance committee that's been operating for years. So there was an infrastructure already in place for donations to come into that committee and then be earmarked for the Sacramento Refugee Resettlement Circle. So that's a very welcome way to contribute. Down the road, we don't know. This is very much a work in progress for all of us. HIAS, one of the good things about choosing to do this under the HIAS umbrella is they've developed a lot of best practices. And so one of those best practices is to try to really limit and not overwhelm the family, but to really limit how many people they're having ongoing contact with, at least for a while, till they kind of get more settled. So as things open up a little bit more to engage with the family, we may be looking at things like finding, maybe organizing a group of conversation partners for, certainly for Galina to practice speaking English with a little bit of training. Maybe if you have kids or grandkids, roughly their ages, to be able to bring them into the fold as well. That's just one idea, and we're certainly open to other ideas that you may have for ways to help continue to help the Spielmans feel settled and to engage with the community. So we're really open to ideas. That's just one thing kind of off the top of my head that we've talked about a little bit. So does that help? Does that give you some ideas? Okay, great. Yeah. Sure, sure. Okay, so just for the record and for folks at home, Susan's question is, are there any plans to perhaps bring another family or more families to Sacramento under these auspices? And what exactly is the makeup of this, or how does it work that it's 5 congregations? So Dorothy and I kind of did outreach to people that we knew in other congregations. And with all due respect, we kind of deliberately decided not to ask board presidents and not to ask rabbis about this because we just had a feeling it would eventually get there, but it might take a little bit longer. And so we just kind of worked with the people and got this group together. The congregations that are represented by members of the circle are Beth Shalom, B'nai Israel, Or Rishon, Mosaic Law, and Beit Chavarim in Davis. And we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but actually Dorothy's and my initial thoughts, or kind of early on thoughts, and we've had some conversations with folks at the Federation about this, is to try and ramp up a little bit the infrastructure in Sacramento for refugee resettlement, period. There are great organizations like Opening Doors and NorCal Resist, but the need is huge, huge. And we've seen already in 4 short months what this community can do, the Jewish community. And so we kind of deliberately didn't put Ukraine into the name of the group. It's the Sacramento Refugee Resettlement Circle, in hopes that maybe down the road we will be doing even more work in this area. Whether we bring another family from Ukraine or families from Ukraine kind of depends on how well supported we are and the family is. And we're hoping for great success, and it would be awesome to bring some more folks. Now that we've done it once, kind of feels like it's not that hard, but we're still learning. The paperwork was not that we could do again, but the experience of working with a family, we need to just go through and see how this all works. But we would love to. In theory, we would absolutely love to. So stay tuned. Thank you.
This is good. This is excellent. And sweet family, welcome. Welcome. So dear friends, Marianne, are you up for reading some announcements? Okay. We can just look on the back of our handout if we want to follow along. Okay.
Good Shabbos. Thank you, Rabbi Nancy, for our service tonight. And a special thank you to our guests, Dorothy Landsberg and Lisa Brodke. Tonight's Oneg is sponsored by me. Thank you. Or I should thank myself. I'm a member of large at the board, and I thought it was great that you didn't go to the president of the congregation and the rabbi, because it would still be going on. Just my opinion. This Sunday, Neshama is in session. Adult education has either started or is getting ready to start, so please take a moment to review these classes on our website and join us. Monday, October 17th is a Yizkor service, 10 a.m. in person. Monday, October 17th is Simchat Torah and consecration for Neshama students featuring members of the Rio Americana High School Band, 6 p.m. in person. Thursday, October 20th, the social action meeting. All are welcomed. Is that right, Susan? Yeah, all are welcome. Please reach out to our administrator if you would like to join us, and she will send you the link. Next Friday, October 21st, Shabbat with a Beat, 7 p.m. featuring the CBS House Band in person and on Zoom. Saturday, October 22nd, in lieu of Torah study, we'll be having a Sunday morning celebration of creation service, 10 a.m. in person, and bring your animals for a special animal blessing. I think you all from Ukraine would enjoy that if you have nothing to do, because we have all our pets. Tuesday, October 25th, Rosh Chodesh, 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. on Zoom. Each month, join us for an hour to welcome the new Jewish month and learn about a specific herb, its healing properties, and way to prepare it in teas and food. This month, we will explore mint. And there's some mint in the Oneg Shabbat, sort of. A couple more quick highlights of upcoming events include Coffee and Nosh gathering on Sunday, October 30th, and CBS Neighborhood Concert Series. There's a flyer out there about that. All these events and so much more can be found on our website. If you'd like to host an Oneg Shabbat or a special event or a remembrance of someone, we're always looking for volunteers, and please contact our administrator, Jenny, because she will help you. And if you grabbed your name badge, please remember to return it. I'm always leaving mine in the car, and I will remind myself to return it tonight. Enjoy, and thank you all for coming.
Thank you so much, Marianne. Thank you. So, dear friends, let's continue our service. Aleinu, followed by the Kaddish prayer. We turn to page 586. Please stand. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula liotze breshit, shelo asanu kigoye haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shehu Noteh Shamayim ve'yoser haaretz, u'moshev yekaro b'shamayim mima'al, u'shchinatu zo, b'govhei meromim, Hu Eloheinu einod, Emakenu afesulato, Kagatu v'torato v'yadata hayom v'hashivota, Elevavecha, ki Adonai hu Elohim, b'shamayim mima'al, ve'al ha'aretz mitachat einod.
page 591. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. Please be seated. We turn in our Siddur to the Kaddish prayer, page 598, and we remember with much love those who have died within the 11 months. Elaine Kaplow, Carlos Garcia, Eric Friedman, Herschel Adler, Barbara Norman, Magali Grace Verana Apasoa, Murray Steingart, Gary John Newman, Ronald Kleffer, Chris Bagoon, Cecile Ash, Chris Wynot, Ethan Nava, Bernard Elliott Ezralou, Judith Spivak, Bill McDonald, Alan Blickstein, Carol Trachtenberg, Danny Yashby, Jean Rubin, Sarah Lipson, Karina Blue, Robin Ash, Ricky Joe Miller, Victor Gabriel, Etta Brody, Jen Garcia, Mark Kane, Ami Lustig, Carl Salperstein. And we remember with love the yahrzeits of Diane Esther Babitz, Jacob Berlinski, Helen Feischbach, Regina Greenspan, Carl Kalman Kaloff, Jean Leah Klafer, Elenita David Saul Pekel, Clara Perper, Ben Warner, Julia Winkle. Are there any other yahrzeits or recent deaths in our community or online? Zichronam lebracha. May all of their memories be for a blessing. Page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. B'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich machutei. B'chayei chon uvyomei chon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. V'agala v'zman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'olmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yit'aleh v'yit'alal shemei kudusha brichu la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata da'amiran v'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'akol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'ramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'akol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Folks, please be seated. I am so moved that we have this service tonight. And Esther, you are so on for helping us communicate. And thank you for being here. And Sharon, thank you for bringing Esther. So I'd like to end with singing Hina Matov, how good it is that we can be together. Page 128. Yep. So we get to have our oneg tonight in the sukkah. It's a little dark, but it will be fun. We have lights on our sukkah. Page 128. Hine matov manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov 128. Shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov. Uma naim. Oy, shevet achim gam גם יחד. שבת אחים אחים גם יחד. One more time. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה, הנה, הנה מה טוב. ומה נעים. אוי אוי אוי, שבת אחים גם יחד. שבת אחים אחים גם יחד. So may this particular Shabbat, this particular holiday of Sukkot, rouse us to keep doing what we need to do. Shabbat Shalom. Meet you in the Sukkah.